Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a fantastic day, and welcome to the Courageous Frights, a channel where we talk about movies and games, especially those dealing with the action, sci-fi, and horror genres. If that's something that interests you, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel for more content like this in the future. Today, I'm going to be giving my thoughts about the Taiwanese horror film The Sadness. The Sadness, or as it's known in Chinese, Kube, is a 2021 horror film made in Taiwan, written and directed by first-time Canadian director Rob Jabbaz. Although Jabbaz had previously made several short films and animations, including one which is briefly seen playing on the TV here, this is his feature-length production debut. The story is relatively simple and focuses on a young couple, Jim and Kati, played by Berant and Regina. Things begin innocently enough as Jim drops off Kati at the station so she can get to work and then stops off at a local diner to get something to eat when he quickly discovers that a terrible virus known as the Alvin virus is rapidly spreading across the city, causing people to become irrationally violent and act on their most primal and depraved desires. After discovering this, Jim and Kati desperately attempt to reunite with one another and survive the apocalyptic nightmare that has shattered their lives. So, I'm just going to come right out from the start and state this film is not for the squeamish at all. And once things get going, it's essentially one long gore fest with only a few breaks in between to give the viewer some context and further develop their understanding of the situation. The sadness is bleak and at times deeply disturbing. The violence is extremely bloody, gross, and frequent, and as the film progresses, the acts depicted become more heinous. While many sites are saying this is a zombie film, that's not entirely true. While the disease is caused by a virus, the infected are not undead. And while they are overtaken with an impulse to kill, they're still capable of wielding weapons and problem solving, which makes them even more dangerous. The plot of the film was apparently largely derived from a comic called Crossed, which features a similar plot of a virus causing people to carry out their most evil desires. Additionally, horror fans will also recognize that this also has strong parallels with the Rage virus from 28 Days Later, as well as George Romero's 1973 classic film The Crazies, and especially its 2010 remake. While those three film examples feature a rage-inducing virus that makes its victims homicidally insane, the Alvin virus also features an added layer of depravity that also makes the infected commit graphic acts of sexual violence as well, which increases the exploitation nature of the film. The real stars of the film are the people over at IFSFX Artmaker who created the mostly practical special effects for the film. As mentioned, the gore is extremely graphic. Most of the effects are extremely well done, while others are almost comically over the top, such as a man who's stabbed in the neck on a train, then erupts into a geyser of blood that nearly covers the entire ceiling of the train car. There's a possible attempt at some social commentary in the film, but the message isn't extremely heavy-handed. Obviously, this film is a product of the pandemic era, and some of that is very evident not only in the themes of the film, but also in this real-life production, as entire sets had to be created as the real locations were off limits to the film crew due to the real-life pandemic that was happening while filming was taking place. Additionally, while it's not explicitly stated in the film, I believe the choice to set one of the film's earlier bloodbaths on a commuter train and paint a character who will go on to be one of the film's only recognizable antagonists as a disgruntled incel was motivated by an unfortunate series of current events in East Asia. In 2014 in particular, there was an extremely deadly stabbing on a train in Taiwan, and more recently in Japan, there have been a number of high-profile attacks on the Tokyo area committed by men who claimed they did it because they couldn't stand the sight of happy-looking couples. So I would argue this film does feature a few elements of relevant social commentary, though I think the primary purpose of the film is to be as shocking as possible. And for the most part, it succeeds in this regard, with nearly every other element of the film serving to simply fill in the gaps between the numerous brutal kills. Your opinion of The Sadness will likely be influenced on whether or not you enjoy over-the-top gory horror films, and if so, you'll probably like this film quite a bit. The carnage is on full display here, and once it starts, it rarely lets up, and there are some very innovative kills shown here, and others that might be reminiscent of more updated versions of, say, Peter Jackson's early works, like brain dead. I found the effects work to be great at times, especially given its obviously lower budget, and the plot, while extremely simple, was serviceable enough for the type of story it was trying to tell. But I do feel as though the film goes a bit too far in a few places, especially in one sequence in a hospital. You'll definitely know the scene when you see it. Much like the plot, the acting is also fine, and the two leads in particular are quite likable, but nothing extremely remarkable in my opinion. Train to Busan, this is not. Currently, the film is getting a lot of buzz online, and it certainly deserves it, but personally, I'm going to give The Sadness a 6 out of 10. Again, gorehounds and fans of this particular subgenre of extreme horror will likely rate it much higher, so if it sounds like something you might be interested in, I definitely recommend giving it a watch. Currently, it's available to watch on streaming through Shudder, a site that has quickly become one of my favorite streaming services and one I would strongly recommend to anyone who's a fan of horror films, as its selection is pretty good and the cost is lower than many of its competitors. If you saw The Sadness, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Lately, I've been getting a bit more active with our Twitter account, so consider following us over there. And if there's another film or series you'd like me to check out and give a review on the channel, you can either let me know about it on the Twitter page or in the comments section of any one of our videos. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button below the video and consider subscribing to get more like this in the future. Also, be sure to click the bell notification to stay on top of all the latest videos on the channel. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you have a fantastic and wonderful day. And as always, thanks for watching. See ya.